Welcome to the Agile ALM DevOps Journal. With me today is my guest, Yoav Landman, founder and chief technology officer at a company called jfrog, which provides infrastructure repositories for software management and distribution used by leading technology firms, including Amazon, Google, large banks, and financial services firms. Welcome to the program, Yoav.
Hi, Bob. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yoav, could you start by explaining what products jfrog provides?
Of course. So jfrog has a collection of products that are mostly around software and release management. We have Artifactory, which is our flagship product. Artifactory is a repository for software, for binaries. We have jfrog Bintray, which is a distribution platform. So altogether with CDN integration, statistics, fine control over who can consume your software and so on. We have jfrog X-Ray, which is that is a tool that allows you to do a deep component scan for security and other concerns around your software. And provide you an impact analysis based on the database that X-Ray has. And we have mission control, which is meant for people that are employing artifact management and release management worldwide in multiple sites. And then we have a tool that kind of gives you a general dashboard and control over your installations of our software.
Now, jfrog provides both open source and commercial products. Can you talk a little bit about your open source products?
Sure. So we have, in the open source arena, we have an open source version of Artifactory, which is how Artifactory started. But we also support open source not only in providing open source tools. So by the way, apart from Artifactory, we have a collection of open source plugins and utilities for various CI servers and for different ecosystems such as Gradle and Maven and so on. But apart from providing open source tools, we are also supporting the open source community. So we are hosting the binaries of the most common open source vendors and providing them repositories for their CI infrastructures and for basically provisioning the binaries to the public. So we host the binaries for Jenkins plugins, for Homebrew, which is by far the most popular package management system on the macOS, and so on and so on. So this is the way we contribute back to open source.
So hosting binaries is very different than hosting source code. How is your tool different than, say, a Git repository or Subversion or other version control solutions that manage the source?
Okay, so hopefully nobody is using Subversion anymore. So yeah, but with Git, I don't think there is any compelling reason to be using Subversion, frankly. But it's very, very different, mainly in the life cycle and the way that binaries are managed compared to source. So first of all, binaries are immutable. They do not change. It's common to have the binary version encumbered in the name of the binary, but essentially you just create more and more binaries. And you don't change them in place like in code. So there is no need to synchronize the change around the binary. It's mostly an append-only kind of storage. And actually, the way that we store binaries in our product is reflecting that. We have a checksum-based append-only storage that kind of goes together with the same concept. Of course, you are as opposed to source control, you get rid of the binaries, of many of them, actually. So you don't keep the history. For sure, you will keep releases or software that you do need to pin down, but most of the binaries you create by the CI are junk. You don't need them after a while, and you need to take care of their disposal. So in the management term, this is another difference. And another big difference is that as opposed to source control, whenever you check in a binary, usually it has side effects. So it needs to create an index. It needs to have some footprint in how APIs are answering you. So it's a very common question what you've been asking, but it's also there is such a big difference that creating a separate domain for managing binaries is something that is basically vital.
So your product can hold the output of a Maven build, NPM, all different types of binaries, and now you're also providing services for Docker. Can you talk a little bit about those particular features?
Sure. So we provide services for Docker. Actually, it's not new. It's almost 2 years actually. So since 2014 September. We allow you in Artifactory and also in Bintray to host multiple registries for Docker with in-place garbage collection for Docker images, and we support all the Docker APIs. Basically, we're a multi Docker registry provider with security and everything, the same way we do with all the other ecosystems that we support. So we give you local repositories to host your own Docker images. We give you remote repositories to proxy Docker images from either other Artifactory servers or from public places like the Docker Hub. And we give you a virtual repository that gives you one URL from which you can consume and also publish Docker images, and kind of hide the fact that there are multiple registries underneath.
Why do you think JFrog has become so popular?
Well, I think it's because of our customers. Frankly, it's not just the customers themselves, but because we are being fed from all our roadmap is based on what our customers are beaconing back to us. So we are very tuned in what we do to what the customers are requesting. It reflects in other things which are mostly the result of that, such as the fact that we are open and universal. So one of the major requests is that customers request us to add support for more ecosystems and for more technologies. It reflects in the fact that we have that we are enterprise ready. So because many of our customers are enterprises, the need to come up with an HA cluster, with a plan for DR that is driven by mission control, with integration with CDNs such as Akamai, and with things like content replication through mirroring. So because of customers that are deployed in multiple sites globally. So this is the kind of things that affects the roadmap, and this is once you give customers what they are asking for, whenever it makes sense, then it makes you popular because you answer what they need.
So how does JFrog products help teams deliver and manage software?
Right. So basically, what we do is we facilitate automation. So everything today is driven by automation. Software is released very, very frequently. So our slogan is release fast or die, because this is basically how people are creating software today. And if you cannot drive the change of your customers for their own customers by providing new releases, by having software updates and patches, and just bringing the software quickly and faster to the end user, then it's very hard to sustain today. And we do it by being very integrated. So we have APIs that are open and that are integrated into CI servers, into deployment tools such as Ansible and Chef and Puppet and so on. And yeah, that's basically how we drive the quick change.
So how did JFrog get started?
So it's a common question. JFrog started actually before even Artifactory existed. So it was like an arena that we created. So we are 3 partners at JFrog, and we had a business together, a consulting company actually, even before JFrog. And as part of that, we had an arena for open source. Back at the day, it was 2005, it was around mostly Maven plugins and so on, which was fully open source. And then towards the end of 2006, Artifactory started by myself as an open source project to just because there was not a good enough Maven proxy at the time to help our clients with. And when we saw the adoption and the traction around it, so in 2008, I was joined by Fred Simon and Shlomi Ben Chaim, that are my co-founders, and we set up together JFrog as a commercial entity.
And what do you think has really helped JFrog become the gold standard for the particular type of technology that you've developed and support?
Right. So, like I mentioned before, the fact that we listen to customers and we stay connected to the market. The fact that we made some decisions early along the way to be open and to be universal and not focus strictly on one technology or another, and to go with popular open source tools such as Jenkins, and to support a myriad of technologies that our customers are asking for. Part of that is also things that we have kind of burnt into our mind about how we operate. So we try, and this is actually part of our internal codex. So for us, every single detail counts, and even when we were extremely small and a very young startup, we always acted like we are a lot bigger, and we paid attention for details. And this is something that the JFrog is, it kind of goes along with JFrog till today.
What do you think are the challenges that you'll face in the coming years?
So there are immediate challenges, like the fact that we started to have many products. So better integration between the products is something that is heeded back to us from customers. Our biggest challenge is keep making JFrog something that's in the heart of software release management and updates, and being the pipe of automation for our customers. So it's a very competitive arena, and like everything in IT, and our challenge is to stay the leader player in this market.
And as you discussed, you're supporting Docker containers. Why do you think container-based deployments have become so popular?
Well, it's part of driving automation, right? So at the end of the day, Docker took a very common technology of containers and C groups, and they made it more a commodity. So it kind of brings the vision of hardware as a software very close for everyone. It's very easy to set up immutable images for CI, for example, which is quite a common need. It's very easy to set up a production system. So there actually it's still kind of immature, and there's still a fight about the whole orchestration thing. So being able to fire up a container and run an image in a second or two is everyone is doing that. But once you need the orchestration in production, there is still a fight between Kubernetes and Mesos and Swarm and so on. So we still have a way to go here.
Can you explain a little bit more about what orchestration is and why it's a challenge?
Sure. So orchestration basically means that once you have your application, once you have your, once you need to set up your servers and to set up the services and microservices that make up your application, you need a mature tool that will assist you in declaratively run those services, make sure they are healthy, scale them up and down, run upgrades with no downtime. And this is quite challenging. And once you have all the power of automation in running the applications as completely isolated containers, the next challenge is orchestrating all this power. And this field is still maturing.
So how does jfrog help with DevOps best practices, such as continuous delivery?
So just because our tools are like, they provide you a platform for your software release, and everything is a software today. So when you create your software, it starts in the CI, and then it goes through various quality gateways and different environments, and we provide you the platform to take this software and push it down this stream, this flow, until it reaches the runtime or the end users, and we allow you to add metadata to it and to integrate with open APIs with external tools. So DevOps, most DevOps, they are very strongly minded against having one platform or one tool. They like to integrate and create the best of breed. And once you provide the tooling for this automation, then it becomes very natural for DevOps to leverage and take advantage of what you can provide them.
Now, I know your product calculates various hashes, such as MACSHA-1 or MD5, when I have a binary that I check into your repository. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that can also help me when I need to do a physical configuration audit, where I have to prove that the code that's running in production is precisely what I pulled out of the repository, and say not the version from 2 releases ago. So in some important ways, your product can also help me with making sure that I have a reliable and secure environment. Do you agree?
Right, of course. So the checksum of an artifact is its identity, naturally. So it's basically the signature that creates the identity for the binary. On top of that, we also allow you to annotate metadata, because the checksum alone doesn't necessarily tell you things like which build created an artifact and so on. And we also allow you to digitally sign it to prove that you were the creator of it. So we provide dual identity both for the binary itself and the owner of the binary.
Those are great features, particularly around security and being able to ensure a secure, trusted application base. Now, where do you see your company in the coming years?
So for us, being able to stay in the heart of creating software releases and managing updates is vital. So like I mentioned, everything is driven by software today, and the opportunities for managing this software and doing it the right way and managing the updates of software are immense. So being in the heart of this pipeline, of this flow of software to the runtime is where jfrog wants to be for everyone that creates software today in the world. So,
thank you, Yoav. We've been talking with Yoav Landman, founder and chief technology officer at jfrog, which provides infrastructure repositories for software management and distribution. For the Agile ALM DevOps Journal, I'm Bob Aiello.